Welcome to our new Ayada Leads training series, where we will be covering topics regarding skills that will help you advance in your professional and leadership journey. The first topic that we will be covering is foundational communication. This includes both oral communication and written communication. We're all likely to be in positions in which we have to send a very important email, deliver a very important message or presentation to a group and an audience member. So what are the skills and the things that you need to know when you're about to either send an email or prep for a presentation or even facilitate a meeting? The skills that you should know, number one, when you're presenting, and this is just the oral communication, when you're presenting, speak slower so that people can actually hear what you're saying. If you speak fast, people might think that you are nervous or you might be a little worried about how you're being perceived. Number two, emphasize your words. Sometimes it's very easy for us to kind of mumble through the words. So when you are presenting, whether that's in a meeting or you're delivering a presentation, you want to make sure that all of your words are enunciated and people can actually understand exact words that you're using. Managing interruptions. So we've all likely have probably led a meeting or facilitated a dialogue of some sorts, and you might have had, especially if you're a woman, someone interrupt you. During that moment, instead of letting it derail your agenda or what you're presenting, you can just ask that person or that individual, "May I finish?" That way you can pause, give them a moment, and continue on with what you are presenting, and you're able to maintain control of that meeting and or that session. Explaining the big picture, that's another practice that you can implement. When you're about to deliver a presentation or even facilitate a meeting, you want people to understand, why should I care? Why should I be listening? Starting with the big picture helps you kind of paint this image of the so what, and then go through any content that you need to go through so that they can further understand the topic that you are presenting. The next practice that you can put in place is avoiding making statements look like questions. So this practice is very simple. When you're presenting, you might pause and say, "Does that make sense?" Instead of saying that, you pause and ask people to just get their reactions and their thoughts. So making sure that you are making statements versus asking questions, it makes it seem like you are certain of what you're saying and that you're not second-guessing yourself or even placing doubt in the audience member or whoever it is that you're delivering that presentation and or meeting to. The next point to bring up is the providing structure when you're delivering points. So usually people can use terms like first, second, and lastly. That way you're giving people kind of a segue of how you're presenting or the information that you're presenting to. Sometimes the information can be a lot, so giving the signposts on first, second, and lastly gives that listener or that audience member a chance to actually take in the last point that you've said. And then finally, be your authentic self. There is a reason why you are in this position. There is a reason why you are aspiring to be in the position that you're aspiring to be in, and this gives you the opportunity to truly be yourself, bring your perspective, try storytelling. There's something that you bring to the table that you can start to weave into what it is that you want to present or how it is that you want to maybe deliver a certain message. Written communication, we've covered all of the oral communication kind of best practices. For written communication, it's very simple. Cut the fluff. So when you're writing an email, you get straight to the point on what the request is or what it is that you need from that person. Be very clear and concise in your messaging. And then also, instead of using exclamation marks, use periods. This is what differentiates someone from being a junior in the perspective or point of view of someone to being a senior leader or someone who has much more experience. So drop the exclamation marks and start using periods next time that you're writing an email. So all of the practices and the tips that I've shared with you covers the foundational communication practices, going back to speaking slower, emphasizing your words, using structured signposts like first, second, lastly, being your authentic self, and especially when you're writing those emails and messages, cutting it down, making it concise, dropping the exclamation marks, using periods, and finally being your authentic self. I hope this was insightful, and I truly hope that you are able to apply this in the next time that you are leading a meeting, you are delivering a presentation, or you are writing a message to that very important maybe person, collaborator, partner, leader, whatever that might look like. And let us know if it worked. And if you have additional tips that you want to share with us, please feel free to kind of share that with us, and we will incorporate it into future trainings. Now we're going to talk about how do we hack our brains so that we get rid of that nervousness and that we show up as our confident selves and try to really influence change through our presentations, our public speaking, and so on and so forth. So what are those tips? Well, number one, regulating your nervous system. Go on a walk. Get exposure to nature. Do breathing exercises, 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out. It is mind over matter. Regulating your nervous system is number one important thing you should be doing right before you're about to deliver a presentation, you're about to be a part of an important meeting, or anything that requires you to put yourself in a position where you are being perceived. The next thing to do is tricking yourself. Did you know that when you're nervous and when you're excited, the same areas of your brain lights up? So trick yourself into thinking that you're excited, not nervous, and that will go a long way. Also, preparing yourself, practice makes perfect. Familiarize yourself with the topic, review the content, review the material, get so comfortable that for whatever reason, if you forget what you're about to say, you've studied the material enough to continue your presentation. Acting with power and influence. This is the difference between playing high and playing low. Plot twist, just so you're aware. It's not what you say, it's what your body language conveys. So when you're presenting, if you're slouching, if you're maybe making yourself look smaller, people perceive that as maybe you being nervous or you not being confident. When you sit with an openness about you, right now I had my legs crossed, I uncrossed it, open yourself up and just make yourself look more comfortable, make yourself look like you are open to dialogue, open to conversation. These are things and cues that people pick up when they are, scanning the room or when they are watching someone speak. So what is the difference between playing high and playing low? As mentioned, playing high, the context of social hierarchy, group members of high rank. So people who usually have this type of body language look relaxed, look open, they stare someone down when they are being addressed, and they look around when, they aren't being addressed. Actions of playing low, like I mentioned, making yourself look small, holding your body close, crossing your arms and making yourself look like you are maybe closed off. These are things that people will naturally notice. And guess what? Plot twist again. Women are judged harsher. That's just the reality. That's just the truth of the matter, versus our male counterparts who hold the same kind of dual expectations. Women are naturally expected to play low just because of their gender. So when you try to play in this more high body language, you might be perceived as arrogant or, overly confident, but don't let that deter you from applying these practices. And some additional tips, storytelling is very cool. I think when people are able to personalize their speeches or their presentations and they bring a little bit of themselves into that, people take notice of that. People are much more engaged when there's a story about yourself. Making it authentic, I know I said this before, but you have a perspective that no one else in that room has. Make that your superpower. And like I said, practice makes perfect. When in doubt, continue to review the material. Get yourself into a position where you can confidently show up. And if you have any kind of questions or ideas on how we can maybe add more content, please let us know. For the most part, everything that I've shared with you today are tips and practices that you can apply to not only show up more confidently when you are delivering a presentation, but also influencing change. And with that, I will kind of close this training off. I hope this information was insightful. I really hope you're able to apply what you've learned. And like I said, we're always open to feedback. Let us know what worked, what didn't, and we will continue to incorporate that into our trainings on a go-forward basis. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I really look forward to seeing how you apply these practices.